The Blue Mountains electorate is often misunderstood by residents of Sydney, bureaucrats and other politicians in this place. It's very easy to think about the Blue Mountains as a single community or a contained physical entity. However, stretching over 60 kilometres along a narrow ridgeline, the distance across my electorate is the size of Sydney itself. It is serviced by a train line and a highway, and life for many people in the Blue Mountains revolves around one or both of these key pieces of infrastructure. We have two big towns with shopping, retail and dining businesses and bustling town centres, Katoomba and Springwood. The majority of Blue Mountains residents live in the dozens of smaller villages and towns scattered along the highway. Some are well-known tourist destinations in their own right, like Wentworth Falls and Leura, while others are towns with no shops at all, like Lyndon and Bullaburra. The highway has been upgraded over many years, most recently by duplication and separation of lanes running east and west, initiated by Labor between 2007 and 2011. However, earlier sections of dual carriageway at places like Falconbridge, Wentworth Falls and Springwood were built to safety standards that have long since been superseded and without due consideration for cyclists, pedestrians or emergency service vehicles attending breakdowns or road accidents. It is not uncommon to see pedestrians walking alongside the highway late at night using the road shoulder as a footpath because of the absolute lack of properly formed footpaths and pedestrian links between the villages and towns across the Blue Mountains. This puts the lives of these road users at risk. At Falconbridge in particular, I have been agitating for a new upgrade of the highway between Bellevue Road and Martin Place. This section of road is a patchwork of broken bitumen with bad camber that is dangerous in the wet, has no centre barrier and no road shoulder for cyclists to stay out of the main traffic. As the highway turns uphill through a left-hand turn, the space between the Armco barrier and the main traffic lane reduces to a matter of centimetres. This section of road follows the railway corridor in which there is significant amount of room, measuring some 15 metres in parts, to allow a widening of the highway through this treacherous section. But a bureaucratic melee within state government has so far prevented the railways from agreeing to allow the RMS to widen the highway at this point, to provide adequate space for cyclists, pedestrians and motorists to coexist safely. Mr Speaker, up at Blackheath and Mount Victoria, residents are being driven spare by so-called safety upgrades of the highway that are being implemented by the Liberal government in spite of the popularly endorsed 2010 plan by Labor to bypass Mount Victoria altogether and take trucks off the road through these quiet, picturesque and historic villages. Instead, residents have seen the nature strips and buffer zones between their front fences and the highway obliterated, along with mature and sturdy trees ripped out that provided a noise barrier and peace of mind for many people who live on the highway's edge. Another of my constituents, Jacinta Tobin, has watched her historic miners' cottage deteriorate and subside as a consequence of construction works and excavation for highway safety upgrades that were done within 6 feet of her front door. She is now seeking fair and proper compensation from the government after her home has been rendered unlivable by these works. Labor set in train a route development consultation process in 2008 that would eventually lead to a proposal to bypass Mount Victoria altogether using new roads and a short section of tunnel under the Darling Causeway and Butlers Creek that would provide a new route to Lithgow and take trucks and the bulk of commuter traffic off the precarious Victoria Pass. In a blow to the hopes of businesses, industry and residents in the Central West towns of Lithgow, Bathurst and Orange, who would have benefited from this crucial road upgrade, this project was shelved in the early years of the Liberals' first term of office, while the National Party sat quietly and said nothing. The Blue Mountains and the Central West desperately need an activist government that will build better, safer, more efficient roads in our regional areas. And this means building new roads where necessary and improving old roads where we can to ensure motorists, cyclists, pedestrians and emergency services workers are safe and the flow of traffic quick and efficient. In doing so, though, we must ensure the sanity of local residents living near these major roads is front of mind in planning and implementation stages.